Excellencies, Ministers of Foreign Affairs, and heads of delegations, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the government of Uganda and the people of Uganda, and indeed on my own behalf, I am pleased to welcome you all to Uganda, and in particular to this ministerial meeting of the 19th Summit of Heads of State and Government of the Non-Aligned Movement. Your presence here, ladies and gentlemen, is an affirmation of the trust and confidence in the leadership of our country to steer the movement in line with the founding principles and promotion of the interests of its membership in a globalized world. I wish to congratulate the Republic of Azerbaijan for its leadership of our movement, especially during the very trying period of the COVID-19 pandemic time. The principle of non-alignment is a constitutional obligation for Uganda and has been a central pillar of our foreign policy. We joined NAM in 1964, only 2 years after independence, due to our conviction about its importance and relevance. Excellencies, the movement principles of sovereignty and sovereign equality of states, territorial integrity, non-intervention and non-interference in the internal affairs of other states are as relevant and important today as they were at its founding. Through the vision and efforts of the founders, colonialism is almost entirely ended except for a few non-self-governing territories. As countries of the Global South, we have regularly come together to discuss issues of common interest and concern. This meeting is yet another opportunity for you to continue with a constructive conversation on this. This meeting is yet another opportunity for you to continue with a constructive conversation on these issues. Excellencies, we are cognizant of the fact that this meeting has come at a challenging time for our membership. From the political and diplomatic front to the social and economic, there are many existing new and emerging issues that challenge our individual and collective efforts towards building prosperous and resilient societies. Ongoing geopolitical tensions and conflicts, such as the current conflict between Israel and Palestine, Ukraine and Russia, etc., are a matter of concern for all of us. They not only pose challenges to the core principles of our movement, but they have also caused loss of human lives, destruction of property, and contributed to the already precarious humanitarian situation around some parts of the world through internal displacements and creation of refugees. Excellencies, on the social and economic front, many of our countries still face structural bottlenecks and weaknesses. Infrastructure to support industrialization and trade, such as energy, roads, and rail, is still a challenge. human capacity to effectively manage the extractive industry is still inadequate and or lacking. Financial resources for quality investment in strategic sectors of the economy, including industrialization and value addition, job creation, are still insufficient. The knowledge and use of ICT platforms for business and individual use is still limited. In addition, there is limited investment, slow progress in industrialization, inadequate production of finished goods and value addition, and limited inter- and intra-regional trade between and among NAM member states. Excellencies, a combination of these bottlenecks, together with other challenges, such as the financial and economic crisis, climate change, recurrent food crisis, energy price volatility, and pandemics, more often than not, render our efforts towards socioeconomic transformation futile. It is in recognition of this and other challenges that we chose, I open quotes, deepening cooperation for shared global affluence, I close quotes, as the theme for the 19th NAM Summit. We believe that deepening cooperation is the best mutually benefiting way to create global wealth and affluence that can trickle down to all parts of the world and in turn enhance the capacities of all economies to increase global demand, create jobs for our people, and also create markets among NAM economies, but also all the nations of the world. Deepening cooperation will require removing all barriers that impede progress. It will also require supporting and facilitating regional and international trade, affordable and appropriate technology transfer, development of adequate and appropriate infrastructure for industrialization and production, value addition and attraction of quality investments in strategic sectors of NAM economies, employment creation and supporting efforts that improve our people's livelihoods and prosperity and collective responsibility, including women involvement in socio-economic transformation. Excellencies, as we deliberate during this summit, we should reaffirm our commitment to maintain cohesion and unity among ourselves on all issues of common interest and to promoting our common positions within relevant multilateral fora. Before I come to the conclusion of my opening remarks, Excellencies, allow me to share with you brief highlights about our country, Uganda. And I would like to begin by bringing you very warm greetings from His Excellency, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of Uganda. He sent his regards to all of you, Excellencies. Let me state that Uganda is ripe for investment, and Uganda's $50 billion economy enjoys market linkages within the $305 billion East African Community economy, the fastest growing and most diversified bloc on the African continent. In addition, Uganda is centrally located, providing access to regional markets of the East Africa, East African countries, which with a population of over 300 million, with a combined GDP of 305 billion. This offers a large market for exports within the region and a growing middle class. The common market of East and Southern Africa and the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, with over 55 member states, and the African Continental Free Trade Area created a market of 1.4 billion consumers, making it an ideal partner for trade and investment. Uganda has maintained a relatively stable and robust economic growth rate over the years at an average of 6.2% in the past 37 years. Uganda's GDP per capita is now at $1,100 and is fast rising, and thus promising a sustainable market for local production of fast-moving consumer goods and services, making the country highly rewarding for foreign direct investment. Excellencies, on the account of prudent macroeconomic management, Uganda continues to enjoy a stable macroeconomic environment characterized by low inflation, now at 2.6%, a stable currency, and high sustained growth. Uganda's economic outlook is very optimistic, and this is mainly because of the consistent support to the private sector through supportive policies. I was informed that diplomacy is also economic. Excellencies, for opportunities in Uganda, when you return to your respective countries, Uganda enjoys market access in the East African community with a population of 300 consumers, the common market of East Africa and Southern Africa, COMESA, with a population of 600 consumers, and the Continental Free Trade Area with a population of 1.4 billion consumers. Uganda has an everything but arms trade with the European Union, and Uganda has trade deals with China and India, and investors can access all these markets by domiciling in Uganda. Uganda has an excellent working and living condition and environment, and it is rated as the third most welcoming country in the world and the fourth best country in the world to visit. Uganda offers the lowest cost of living with excellent housing, and its fast-growing workforce and flexible labor regulations provides a key advantage for companies investing in labor-intensive operations. Uganda is also the most open economy to foreign direct investment, and there is no restriction on ownership of investments, movement of capital or foreign exchange. The World Bank's data indicates that on average, net foreign direct investment inflows have exceeded $1 billion each year. Uganda cooperates very well with all its neighbors, and we are currently cooperating with the Democratic Republic of Congo and the United Republic of Tanzania in the development of the oil pipeline and also the border posts. Uganda is a beacon of security in the region, and investors can be sure that they will be safe in Uganda and their property is secure. Uganda has enjoyed political stability for nearly 4 decades, and this provides certainty to investors. This has enabled uninterrupted business growth for a very long time. Excellencies, with this brief illustration, one gets a clear picture that Uganda is full of investment potential in many areas. We welcome investors and companies from the NAM countries to Uganda to do business with us. I encourage you to find time and visit Uganda beyond Kampala and experience the true Ugandan hospitality. And with these few remarks, I once again welcome you to Uganda and wish you very fruitful deliberations. And indeed, should you find some spare time, please explore Uganda by visiting our freshwater bodies, our game parks, with a wide variety of birds, animals, and plant species, and enjoy our flora and fauna. It is now my singular honor and privilege, Excellencies, to declare this ministerial meeting of the 19th Summit of Heads of State of Non-Aligned Movement officially open. I thank you for your kind attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll have now 2 minutes of technical break to see off the dignitary from the conference hall, and then we will continue our deliberations. Dear colleagues, now we continue our deliberations by electing the chair of the preparatory ministerial meeting. The host country nominated His Excellency General Odongo Jeje, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Uganda, as the chair of the preparatory ministerial meeting. If there is no objection, I suggest to elect His Excellency General Jeje Odongo by acclamation as the chair of the preparatory ministerial meeting. I didn't see any objection, therefore His Excellency General Odongo Jeje is hereby elected as the chair of the preparatory ministerial meeting of the 19th Summit of NAM. I congratulate you, Excellency, and invite you to take the floor as a chair and wish you successful deliberations.
Your Excellency and Brother Rafiev, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Your Excellencies, honorable colleague ministers from the NAM member states, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, first, let me on behalf of the government of Uganda and the people of Uganda, and on my own behalf, welcome you to Uganda for the ministerial meeting of the 19th Summit of the Heads of State and Government of the Non-Aligned Movement. I want also, from the very beginning, to thank you all for honoring our invitation. I must, in the same vein, also thank you for your patience and understanding to wait for a whole year for this summit to take place. I am greatly humbled to accept, on behalf of the government of Uganda, election as chair of the ministerial meeting. This would not have been possible without the patience of understanding of my colleagues, the Republic of Azerbaijan. On that note, allow me to thank the Republic of Azerbaijan for successfully completing its chairmanship. A chairmanship, I am sure we all agree, was exemplary, particularly at a time when our organization was faced with great challenges associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. Excellencies, considering the current challenges in the international arena, the objectives and principles of the non-aligned movement remain as relevant today as they were at the time of the formation of our organization. Uganda is committed to and looks forward to working with you all, members, in upholding and protecting these principles. Uganda's chairmanship will be anchored on a vision of a stronger and united NAM that contributes to a better world for all. We shall focus, among other areas, on international peace and security, the fight against terrorism, humanitarian crisis, the Agenda 2030, and Sustainable Development Goals, among other issues. Achieving meaningful results in these and many other areas will no doubt require cooperation and collaboration within our membership and other like-minded partners. I entreat you all, Your Excellencies, to work with Uganda to promote a stronger and united NAM that is cohesive and contributes to a better world for all. This is important to enable our organization to continue to be relevant and influential in decision-making at the international level. Once again, Your Excellencies, thank you for your confidence and trust, and I believe together NAM will remain stronger. I thank you, colleagues, for your attention. Now that I have officially assumed the chairmanship, I think it is time for us to start the business for which we are gathered. And I would like colleagues to plead with you that we have a lot of work ahead of us and that we should try as much as possible to remain within the limits of the times that have been indicated for us to make our interventions. But before we do that, I'd like to take the opportunity to invite the chair of the official meetings to give us a report to which we will then be commenting in our statements. I thank you, colleagues. On that note, let me invite the chair of the officials meeting, Ambassador Adonia Ayebale.
Your Excellencies, Chair, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it was a privilege for me to chair the meeting of the preparatory senior officials that was held on 15th and 16th January 2024. Your Excellencies, allow me to report that the senior officials have reached agreement on the two outcome documents, the final outcome document and the political declaration. In front of you, I would like to sincerely thank my colleagues, ambassadors and senior officials for their constructive participation and cooperation, which made my work easy. Your Excellencies, our work was divided into two committees as per practice of the non-aligned movement, the Political Committee and the Economic and Social Committee. Your Excellencies, during our deliberations, the rules of procedure and established practice of the movement, in line with the provisions of the Cartagena document on the movement's methodology, were applied. As a result, all paragraphs were agreed upon by consensus. Regarding some cases where disagreement arose and persisted, I found it necessary to apply the rules of procedure and occasionally to utilize established negotiation practices of the movement. In some of the situations of disagreement, I presented different compromise proposals with a view of bridging the gaps between different views and positions and endeavored to accommodate the priorities of the delegations on the basis of mutual understanding and respect of views as well as disagreements. Your Excellencies, I thank you for your attention.
Chair of the officials meeting, thank you very much for that report. I would like now to turn attention to ourselves, honorable ministers. And I would like, on that note, to call upon Her Excellency Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwa, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of the Republic of Namibia, to make her remarks. Welcome, Your Excellency.
Thank you, Your Excellency, General Odenga Jeje, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Uganda, and our chair, honorable ministers, heads of delegation, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to extend my appreciation and that of my delegations to the government and the people of Uganda for the warm hospitality we enjoyed in Kampala. We welcome, Your Excellency, your elections to serve as the chair of our movement, and we are assured that under your leadership, you will be able to guide our movement and be assured of our cooperation. We also want to thank the outgoing chair, Azerbaijan. Chair, our meeting over the next 2 days, being held under the theme, Deepening Cooperation for Shared Global Affairs, is taking place in a complex global context. In this regard, the fundamental Bandung principle should continue to guide our work and provide clarity for the challenge we continue to face. We must therefore continue to strengthen, advocate for consistent application of the UN Charter, which recognize and promote the sovereignty, equality of all member states, and respect for their territorial integrity. Your Excellencies, the elaboration of the draft final outcome document for the 19th NAM Summit affords us an opportunity to ensure or to reflect on the September 2024 UN Summit of the future in order to guide the NAM position in the negotiation for the summit. This summit will be an opportunity for UN member states to strengthen global commitment towards the attainment of the UN Agenda for Sustainable Development, to address climate change and desertification, to ensure food security, and to realize the decolonization agenda, the reform of the UN system, in particular the Security Council, and the increased participation of women in peace process as articulated by UN Resolution 1325. The Summit of the Future further affords us an opportunity to emphasize the need to maintain the intergovernmental nature of the United Nations, address illicit financial flows, and ensure that specific needs of developing countries, including middle-income countries, are afforded. Namibia, as the co-facilitator of this summit, will definitely benefit greatly from the discussion during this meeting. Your Excellencies, unilateral cohesive measures constitute an impediment to the sustainable development of our member states, and we must guard against such practices, including by further strengthening South-South, North-South, and triangle cooperation. Unilateral sanction and suspension of certain countries from multilateral trade organizations, for example, undermine international cooperation and shared prosperity. Your Excellency, at the same time, we must not forget the plight of the people of Palestine and Western Sahara. We therefore reiterate the call for the full implementation of relevant UN and AU decisions, as well as respect of international laws and treaties' obligation to realize those rights for self-determination. We call on Israel, a fellow member of the international community, to end its ethnic cleansing military operation, in other words, genocide in Gaza, in order for peace and stability to prevail, and to ensure that humanitarian assistance reaches the hundreds of thousands that are injured, and also about 2 million who are internally displaced. Chairperson, as I conclude, I wish to thank the senior officials for working on the draft final outcome. Let us adopt the practical and streamline our work to ensure that we recommend consensus draft a final document to our heads of state by focusing on respective themes of our meeting. I further wish to emphasize that the NAM remains relevant in the modern world through a strengthened voice and unified action. We will ensure that we maximize the cooperation of our countries to address the many challenges that face the world today. We continue to draw inspiration from the fundamental principle of our movement, guided by the Bandung spirit of solidarity and unity. Once again, thank you for your kind attention, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for those remarks. I would like now to take this opportunity to call upon Her Excellency Shirley Aikor Bochwe, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration of the Republic of Ghana. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Your Excellency, Mr. Chair, I think we had notified the Secretariat that the Honorable Minister for Foreign Affairs of Ghana is yet to get her flights in, so she would take the floor tomorrow. And so, with your kind indulgence, we would let the floor be passed on to the next speaker, please.
Thank you, colleague, for that information. We will then move on, and I would like to request Her Excellency Dr. Naledi Pandor Mandisa, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of the Republic of South Africa.
Excellencies and dear Chairperson, I thank you. Your Excellency, Chairperson, South Africa wishes to congratulate Uganda on hosting this 19th summit of the non-aligned movement. We also congratulate you, Chairperson, on your election as chair of our meeting, and further express our sincere thanks to the government and people of Uganda for the excellent arrangements made and for the hospitality we have enjoyed since our arrival. I am pleased as well, Chairperson, to unusually congratulate you for having 2 women as the first speakers on this list. This is most unusual in Africa, and we thank you. We are also very pleased at the work that has been done by our officials and that they have reached consensus on the outcome documents. Chairperson, South Africa supports the 5 focus areas and priorities of Uganda's chairship of our non-aligned movement. We thank Azerbaijan for the sterling way that they led the movement during the past 3 years of chairing it. This 19th summit comes at a time when the world is faced with multiple and complex challenges. The persistence of conflicts in various parts of the world, including on our own continent, Africa, sets back our development goals and reverses our respect and practice of human rights. This summit is therefore an occasion to reflect on our past achievements and to chart a role for our movement to contribute to a more peaceful and prosperous world. South Africa firmly believes that the Bandung principles on which our movement was founded remain relevant today. These include respect for the Charter of the United Nations, respect for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of all states, and the settlement of disputes by peaceful means. These principles have been a guide for my country in its approach to peacemaking and peace building in our region and beyond. Dear Chairperson and Excellencies, it is South Africa's strong view that we cannot achieve a peaceful and prosperous world without reforming the system of global governance to make it relevant to the world of today. As this non-aligned movement, we should continue to advocate strongly for a system of global governance that is fair, equitable, and has the capacity to respond to the needs of all countries and peoples. A system that is not just a tool for the most powerful countries of the world. These reforms include our belief that the United Nations Security Council is in need of urgent reform. After all, it has the unique mandate for the maintenance of international peace and security, and is not of a form that is able to exercise that mandate. We believe the Security Council should be expanded with urgency to include countries from Africa, Asia, and Latin America as permanent members. A reformed system of global governance and a strengthened multilateralism will also allow us to address other major challenges, such as the scourge of terrorism, which today affects all parts of the world. We as South Africa condemn terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. In addressing regional and international security, Chairperson, we should also be resolute in standing for the independence of all oppressed people, including the people of Western Sahara. We should guard against the selective application of international law. There should be universal respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. Human rights should not be used as a mere instrument of foreign policy by the most powerful states of our globe. We applaud Uganda for identifying the achievement of the 2030 Agenda and the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals as one of the 5 priorities of its chairship of NAM. We are at the halfway mark before 2030 as the international community, and we have made limited progress, with only 12% of the goals on course to be achieved. Collective determination is therefore needed among all states to cooperate to achieve this ambitious development agenda. All states should fulfill their obligations, in particular the rich, developed countries that have made special undertakings in this regard. Chairperson, we cannot ignore or neglect the plight of the people of Palestine. We are witnessing what we as South Africa believe is a genocide of unprecedented proportions. It is for this reason that our country has referred the situation in Palestine to the International Court of Justice, where we seek provisional measures, including ordering Israel to stop its military campaign in Gaza. This also echoes calls made by many governments and peoples all over the world for an immediate comprehensive ceasefire and unhindered humanitarian access for the people of Gaza. We also call for the release of hostages held by Hamas. South Africa urges the international community to support with practical measures the establishment of a two-state within the Middle East, with Palestine and Israel living side by side in peace and security. This two-state to be based on the 1967 borders. It is our historic duty of international solidarity for us as the non-aligned movement to play a leading role in this matter. In conclusion, Chairperson, the billions of people that we represent here today, especially our young people, expect us to project a unified voice and act together in the advancement and defense of the collective interests of the Global South. Whatever we do within NAM and at the United Nations should always guarantee our people peace, security, prosperity, and development. They expect our cooperation and solidarity to result in practical, positive change that improves their material conditions. We also need to continue to forge partnerships based on mutual respect with those outside our movement as part of our commitment as NAM to build a better world, one which works equally for all. I thank you, Chairperson and Excellencies, for your attention.
All right, and many thanks for sticking around to UBC Television as we're giving you the live coverage of what is happening at the Speak Resort Munyonyo. And the footage that you've been seeing just shortly has been the opening of the ministerial meetings at the Speak Resort Munyonyo, where different ministers from different countries have been submitting their issues at hand. We've seen Namibia. We have as well looked at South Africa. One of the key issues that have actually been tabled at the front for South Africa is the fact that they're urging the international community to come out strongly and condemn everything that is happening in Gaza, so to address the issue to do with the Palestinian and Israelites in there. But besides that, I am with Chirabo Robert Nyonyi Ntono as we are going to be looking deeper into what has been highlighted so far. Of course, we shall be taking you back to Speak Resort Munyonyo, but as of now, Chirabo, looking deep into, first of all, General Jeje Odong, as well as Ambassador Adonia Ayebare. There are lots of issues that have actually been presented this morning.
Well, so far I want to say it's been a success. Why am I saying so? We had the arrival of the delegates at the venue. Then, according to program, there was taking a group photo of the ministers that have attended, and that was done. They moved into the venue. Then we had Jeje Odong welcoming them, and of course encouraging them to stay even longer,
yes,
and not restrict themselves. But also the Vice President, who officially opened the 19th summit of the ministerial meeting at Munyonyo. She had so much to say. One, she said Uganda believes in the spirit of non-alignment. And all over her diplomatic or international relations with other countries, that is a principle we hold so much. But also said that she's very optimistic that the NAM, when they work together, these countries work together, they will be able to eliminate some of the challenges facing them. And according to her, she outlined issues of poverty, issues of law, technology, issues of conflict, the geopolitical tension that is happening currently, the very many youth that are present and yet they are not employed. So how do these governments come together to ensure that...
She also mentioned the political stability part of it, by the way, when it comes to how Uganda has been able to stabilize and why NAM should as well prioritize
Well,
it.
she said it is a sign of confidence in the leadership of our country, because we joined NAM in 1964, just about 2 years after we had attained independence.
Yes.
And according to the Honorable, if it's now in this country, this is a sign that the leadership of NAM, these countries have confidence in our country, in Uganda, in our leadership. Now, coming back, Ambassador Ayebare also was able to give a report. A very brief, I must say.
It was. I think we wondered how brief it was. I think it was
brief it was.
About 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah, just one thing I think he wanted to bring out clear, that whatever was discussed, they were based on the principles of NAM, where he said every paragraph that they had, there was total agreement. Where they were disagreements, also these were handled according to the governing principles of the non-allied movement, how they should operate. So he was basically confirming that what we are passing over to you for scrutiny and more discussions, which you will also later pass to the heads of states and heads of government meeting, because like earlier informed our viewers, that NAM, their declarations that will finally come up as the Kampala Declaration goes through 3 phases. The senior officials sit, or what we would call the technical people there. They do the grass work. Then what they have done is submitted to the ministers. The ministers will scrutinize that, add, remove, whatever it is. Then they will pass that to the heads of state during their meeting. So we can say that so far, all is moving on very well, and we know that very soon when they go into plenary and but also emphasize the committees that they had, and this is not for the first time. That's how NAM works. The political, then the social and economic committee that were handling issues of politics, That is a committee there. Then the issues of socio-economic growth also are being handled by the other committee, and this will be brought together in a single document. Now, interestingly, I enjoyed the delegate from South Africa. First, pointing out the issue that two speakers, the first